What's our text this afternoon? It feels like the morning because it's dark and cold, but it's the afternoon. Is Lamentations chapter 3, verses 19 through 26. And I have here, wow, they said formal service, so like, this is cool. Looking at the camera, and the camera, nails. Okay. I'm going to read from the Common English Bible. The memory of my suffering and homelessness is bitterness and poison. I can't help but remember, and I am depressed. I call all this to mind. Therefore, I'll wait. Certainly, the faithful love of the Lord hasn't ended. Certainly, God's compassion isn't through. They are renewed every morning. Great is your faithfulness. I think the Lord is my portion. Therefore, I will wait for him. The Lord is good to those who hope in him, to the person who seeks him. It's good to wait in silence for the Lord's deliverance. I'm going to leave on that silence as well. Good afternoon, everyone. As your bulletins say, and as some people have said, I am Stephanie Davis. There's going to be like 30 applause breaks if we do it like that. I'm Stephanie Davis. I'm a 2020 MDiv recipient from this fine institution. I should probably say, though, I'm currently pausing my pursuit of ordained ministry. I have found another call that's speaking to me as an advocate at the YWCA in New York. And frankly, I have moved on to a different expression of the divine apart from the triune God of Christianity and the Christian church. These days, I'm mostly practicing Taoism, and I'm finding really practical wisdom in that tradition's unique focus on balance. I have no title, though, for doing that. So you can call me Stephanie, or Mrs. Davis would be really fine. I only was married 2.5 weeks ago, so this is a really special time for my husband and I. If you don't know him, my husband's name is Jonah. We are both transgender people. He is a transgender man. He uses he, him, his pronouns. I am a transgender woman, and I use she, her, hers. Balance. We're also both pansexual people. Oh, and that job I told you about, I started that a week and a day ago. So this is like a really fruitful, exciting, crazy time. So you put this all together and you're going to get a sermon on queer and trans joy for National Coming Out Day out of Lamentations. That book that you turn to for joy. I need a word. Let me just open it up to Lamentations. Yin and yang. So let's get into it. In reading this text, a central question came to my mind that kind of underlined everything. That question, what wouldn't have happened? What wouldn't have happened had Jeremiah and the rest of the Israelites done the seemingly easier thing and given up a central part of their identity? Their identities as followers of the one God whose name is so holy, it must never be uttered out loud. Cold logic says, after all, that Adonai had failed. The temple decimated, famine claimed countless lives, bloodshed still more, and now this remnant is being taken out of their homeland to a foreign land, captive. And of course, this is being done by people who worship entirely different gods. Some might say victorious gods. What wouldn't have happened if they let this logic lead them? If they let themselves do an honorable enough thing, which is to lead quiet lives in safety. Not lives that anybody would want to write stories about, but dignified lives and good enough lives nonetheless. What wouldn't have happened? And I think much of their suffering, or at least it's possible, what wouldn't have happened? Much of their suffering. Jeremiah would no longer feel homeless, for example. It's a thought that is so, somebody who's familiar with rumination, right? Like, that's a rumination. He calls it poison because it seems that every time it comes to mind, it makes him more and more and more depressed. And I think their heartbreak would be less pronounced. I don't know about you, but the way Jeremiah writes this rather pathetic closing line, and I mean like in terms of oozing with pathos, pathetic. It's good. One should wait quietly for the Lord's deliverance. It's good. And I guess I thought of this because it's the same with me as a trans and queer person. What wouldn't have happened if I had given up my most precious identity marker, my knowledge of myself as a woman, through all times, through all iterations of my body? Well, my suffering might have also lessened considerably if we're thinking about it logically. I wouldn't have lost that pastor position I was all but promised. That wouldn't have happened. And I certainly wouldn't have lost a pastor job to the hysteria of people who demanded to know why I had not disclosed my transgender status, i.e., my genitals, because that's what they're asking. Why hadn't I disclosed this in a country with no legal discrimination protections against us, and in which we have double the unemployment rate? This is among trans men and women combined. Trans women is always going to be higher. And 44% of us, almost half of us, are underemployed. What was your agenda? They asked. Not to starve. Ideally, what wouldn't have happened? Well, I suppose this incident would not have been the lit match that it was for a mental explosion that became nearly a year of not working and receiving daily intensive mental health treatment to be able to find some semblance of my footing again. I wouldn't have gone broke and stayed broke. I wouldn't have broken up with my parents and blood relatives, save my children and one aunt. I go through this litany, not to throw a pity party, although some of that felt pretty good. But because closeted people everywhere on this week leading up to National Coming Out Day, closeted people everywhere are doing this exact kind of calculus. They have every right to. They have every right to be scared, every right to fear the worst in a country that is actively growing in hostility to queer and most especially trans people. They have every right. And so it's up to the rest of you to say consistently to your friends, coworkers, neighbors, relatives, especially the bigoted ones, I know trans people. I love trans people. That is not trans people. And don't say it in front of me again. Did you know, fact finders, did you know that a supposedly mainstream political party in the United States of America has nominated an anti-trans zealot to be their candidate for the governor of Pennsylvania? Did you know that? It's true. At a recent speech, he smugly stated, and I can't say this strenuously enough, his words, on day one, he means of his term, on day one, follow the science, no more men on girls' teams. On day one, you can only use the bathroom of your anatomy, not your preference. He said this proudly ignorant of, or maybe even more likely, purposefully ignoring the actual science, by the way. Follow the science. Science supports that gender identity is different from sex. Gender is different from sex. And the science especially says that misgendering trans people, and notice especially his heinous use of the word men on girls' teams, misgendering trans people skyrockets the chances that trans folk will attempt or complete suicide. I can confirm you see, this isn't an oversight. It's a strategy. And it's everywhere. After a year of standing slightly above the suburban fray, um, my son's school district, which is Manheim Township, um, where his other mom lives, um, finally a couple of weeks ago started to move in motion toward instituting its own transgender sports ban, which is kind of not even correct to say. It's a ban on trans girls. Just girls. All indications are that it will go through, making some noise along the way, but the votes are there. And that by next year, my son will be educated by a system that publicly humiliates his mom and his stepdad. And why do they do it? Cheap political points. That's all. In the United States of America, in the year of our Lord 2022, you get points by hating us. That's a feather in your cap. My point is, closeted people who are waiting for some good sign from the world to feel safe enough to come out. Yeah, they need you to talk to your friends and neighbors and relatives. They need you to vote and do so loudly. Because you know what loud voting looks like. And the messaging is just as harmful as the result may be. Because here's the truth. The truth is that we really do miss out when we hide our truest selves in fear. Today is as good a day as any to come out, but I get it. I get it. But we hide because we don't know what's going to happen. Somebody said something about lights under bushels and all of that. That's not in the pericope, though. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. I looked right at Julia as he said that. All right. What is in the pericope is this. What wouldn't have happened? What wouldn't have happened if the Israelites had lost themselves, had removed that identity marker and moved on as best they could? Well, they wouldn't have a hard-earned truth that is just so universal and lovely. I'll go to the NRSV here because it's prettier. Jeremiah puts it in his language in this way: the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Now, I've never been a fan of the he, him, his God, but I do have to admit, this is really good stuff. And I kind of like the effect of having a masculine figure of mercy and love here. You know, Taoists and Buddhists call this divine wellspring of mercy and love the goddess or Bodhisattva Kuan Yin, the one who hears the cries of the world. this force, whatever it is, she has been called Elios, Clementia, Ir, Terra, Mary, Mother of Jesus, and Nuestra Senora de Guadalupe. She's probably the most recognized and agreed upon spiritual truth that there is. That the universe loves you for you. Just as you know yourself, and in love, the universe or Kuan Yin or the Lord reaches out to you every day, heck, every moment, reminding you it is worth it to choose love and authenticity, which after all is just a form of love for oneself. So now you get the rest of my story. I felt that ground of the universe start to hum when a student at LTS, some might remember, I was in the land that Jeremiah was pining for, in fact, in Israel and Palestine. I started to get glimpses, merciful glimpses at what it might look like if I were to come out. I enjoyed the chosen family of Liz, most especially. We were inseparable. That's my clinging. That's on me. In 16 waking hours, we were together probably for 14 of them. You see Liz and my roommate, they liked to take morning runs, so I opted out of that. And that was a mercy too, trust me. There were also the mercies of feeling my feelings. There's this god-awful picture of Liz and I from one of the synagogues. And I have a yarmulke on my head because it was required. And I'm so weighted down by the force of it. My body was already starting to reject these things. And I'm trying to smile, but it looks like, I don't know, like a zombie trying to smile through all of that. And that's how I knew something was up. And it kept percolating, but not too long after that, I just had to blurt it out. And I did again and again and again. What would have happened if I hadn't? Well, I wouldn't have known the thousands of tender mercies, each one of which obliterates my suffering in comparison. It's not a logic thing. I can't explain how it happens, but they do. The mercy of chosen rallying behind me. True friends that encouraged me to stay at their house when I did not feel safe to stay at my own. Folks calling me by my name, my real name. I'll never forget, I'm so glad he's here. I'll never forget my first chapel as an out person. Melvin Baber was the first person to see me that day. And he said, Stephanie. To be called sister by Kelly, as I have been ever since that same event. Every time I see her, chills. To be called mommy by my kids. Indescribable. And to fall in love to experience the magic of queer love in such a way that I felt present instead of dissociated, and felt acceptance in such a way that I could begin accepting myself. That is a gift that only tears can truly attest to. Plus, I was a freaking bride. And I looked great. Dr. Williams hates me. I had the timeout, like, I don't know how long ago. But to my friends in the closet, you have no logical reason to trust me, but hear me out. There is something waiting for you that only tears will be able to communicate. It will be hard and beautiful and all yours.